This is a quick look at the new Sanrenmu medium-sized EDC knives that they're currently carrying, the 9015 and the 9015 SB. So recently Sanrenmu has been offering on GearBest. These knives were purchased from GearBest, by the way. These knives the Sanrenmu has been recently introducing these knives on GearBest, and they're the medium-sized versions of a lot of older knives. So in the background there you'll see these two models, which are the 7089s. Now this is the black version of the 7089, this is just the stainless steel version. But if you look closely, they're exactly the same but just larger with a couple added features. So we'll be talking about that and my opinions on that. So just a quick size comparison right off the bat so you can see. Same thing with the stainless, except this one doesn't have dimples. Anyways, these knives by Sanrenmu, if you look at the knife just quickly and you didn't see the logo, you'd likely think it was probably a real seal or a rake knife or ruike knife, simply because of the beta lock, just the fit and finish, everything feels really similar. And it's overall probably made all in the same factory, I'm guessing. Rake, Real Steel, and Sanrenmu. There's a couple other knives that from the past, for example this one here, which I think was a 9054, yeah, 9054, which was made by Sanrenmu, and then it was also made by Real Steel but with a liner lock. This one is just the ball detent slip joint, kind of. It's not really a lock. Yeah, so in all likelihood they're all made from the same factory in Sanrenmu for Real Steel, Rake, and Sanrenmu. But recently these ones were released by Sanrenmu, and instead of the 14C28N steel that is often offered in the Real Steel and Rake knives, these are with 12C27. I guess a little bit inferior, but still on the top end of the budget steels in my opinion. So enough with the intro with that. We'll talk about the knives now. I'll mainly be focusing likely on this because I just prefer stainless knives. They look nice. So let's talk about first the lines. It's really nice and sleek and sexy, I think. Similar to some other Sanrenmu knives, which I'll be showing at the end. This knife is a medium-sized EDC, as I had mentioned earlier. It's pretty smooth. These dimples honestly provide minimal traction and grip, but it does add more aesthetics in my opinion. And if you see on the knife, everything is nicely fitted and finished. No rough spots. Everything is really well done. You'll see that backspacer, and it's G10. It's a partial flow through. I guess 1/3 right there at the top, and then 2/3 of the G10 spacer. Then we have on the lock side the beta lock, which does not get in the way when it's open. When I deploy the knife, it's really quick. It has ball bearings inside which assist in that. You see, it drops freely and easily. Deployment with the light switch method is effortless. Deployment via the push button method will also work. Let's try the push button. Oop, hit the tripod. Let's try that again. Works fine. Once it's open, you'll see the lockup on mine is about 50%, which is perfectly fine. We'll find that the lockup up down is solid, side to side is solid, and on the lock bar you'll notice that there are little scoops there just to assist in gripping when disengaging the lock, which helps. You'll also notice this beta lock that I mentioned earlier. So basically, when this is engaged, prevents the lock bar from being closed. It's actually a pretty neat feature. Honestly, I probably won't use it, but having it there is always nice. I've never had a knife fail on me, so I probably don't really need it, but always added features are great as long as they don't get in the way, and this one does not. You notice that there's a fold-over pocket clip, and it's relatively deep carry. There's still maybe about almost a centimeter, maybe 0.8 of a centimeter sticking out of the pocket. You'll have about that much right there. And you'll see, first, I should mention, I guess, since we're on the pocket clip, the tension. It's good, does not require too much force, and when in hand in the open position there are no hot spots. Sorry about the scabs. Injury. There are no hot spots from the pocket clip. And also I forgot to mention ergos earlier. Ergos, when the knife is open, is great. You can hold it in a variety of grips and they're all comfy. My hands are size small and this knife fits just great. No sharp corners, as I mentioned earlier, and a nice finger guard, which was the flipper, to prevent any accidental hand slippage onto the blade like so. And the blade centering I was mentioning earlier is pretty spot on, as I would expect from Sanrenmu. And overall, this is a great knife. With the SB version, honestly everything that I just mentioned applies as well. Everything's nice and fitted and finished excellently. G10 spacer. Deployment on this one is a little stiffer than this one. The ball detent's a little stronger. Not that it really makes a big difference. Push button as well, which I'll take off camera, works fine. These thumb studs, which are anodized blue, do act as deployment thumb studs too, but I do prefer the flipper. I use my left hand, which is not my dominant hand, as you can probably tell. And it still works. You could deploy it that way, but honestly it's a lot funner with the flipper. And deployment on this one is similar. Pretty smooth. It is not quite as smooth as this one, but still totally acceptable. These are both great medium-sized EDC knives to add to Sanrenmu's large line of small EDC knives. It's pretty nice that they're finally introducing knives that most people would like probably more than these. Personally, I like the small knives, but a lot of people out there like their medium-sized to large size. I consider these medium-sized EDCs. So just now some comparisons on the knives. Oh, before that though, forgot to mention. There's a satin finish on this blade, and it's done really nicely. It is sharp out of the box, drop point blade, and there is a swedge up top which is not sharpened, and a nice sharpener's choil, which you've probably seen there, which doesn't need mentioning, but I'll mention anyways. So, that aside, we'll go to the comparisons. So this is the smaller version. You'll notice that everything's just shrunken, and the blade obviously will be smaller. And another thing you'll notice pretty instantly there is my face. But anyways, the flat on the knife is polished, however the grind is satin on this. So there's a two-tone, polished on the flats and then satin on the edge and the swedge. Whereas on the 9015 it's just a satin finish everywhere, which is fine. I like the two-tone finish. That's a nice touch. This one's totally fine. Looks great too. I like satin finishes. So that's the blade. You'll see it's pretty much the same, just smaller. Similar G10 backspacers, which on the 789 it feels like FRN to me, but on the 9015 it feels like G10. This is just my subjective opinion. I have no way of testing that, but it just feels sturdier, and there's little dimples, kind of like texturing. You can't really tell. Just in the light there you can vaguely see it, but that doesn't do anything. I just noticed that. Whereas on the other one, it's just completely a flat, kind of textureless FRN. This knife, by the way, I forgot to mention, does have a skeletonizing of the frame, and that does assist in lightening the knife slightly. This is still a little hefty for a medium-sized knife, not too crazy. Look in the description box for all the dimensions and specifications. But there is some skeletonization on both sides. It's pretty hard to see on the lock bar side, but it's at the far back, close to the backspacer. And on the regular side, you can see it there. Both models are the exact same. You'll see just through there. Now, back to the comparisons. That was the 7098 and the 9015, and that's pretty much how most EDCs, Sanrenmu knives are. They were all about the small EDC category, about 3 inches and below for the blade. Now they're finally getting something more medium-sized, which is great. They did before offer some other medium-sized knives like this, which if you're new to the Sanrenmu scene, you probably don't even recognize. This is probably 6 or 7 years old. This is the, can't even remember the model now, 939? Model number 939. Sanrenmu with the old logo. Love this blade. I never used this blade, I just kept it just because I loved it so much. This is completely unused. This is the Sanrenmu 939, and it's a sheep's foot blade. Full flat ground. Absolutely beautiful. Looks kind of like a Kershaw, right? But anyways, these were the very few medium-sized knives produced by Sanrenmu back in the day. It's pretty much the same size. Blade, stock, and in the closed position, very comparable. Then we also have, of course, a video review of this 9015. Wouldn't be complete with this, its younger brother. It's the Sanrenmu 9103, which is an excellent knife. I have previously made a video on that several months back. It's essentially the same knife, but without a flipper. So if you like this knife and you wish it had a flipper, this is the knife for you. The only thing is, this one feels more ergonomic in the hand, just simply because of the deeper finger trail. I find with the flipper, it just feels a lot nicer, and this rounded contour here, it feels as if the hand's not going anywhere. Whereas this one, while still really comfortable, it's just not quite as nice as this one. That's just my opinion though. You may be different. That is a quick look between these two siblings. Both excellent knives. All on bearings, which I forgot to mention. This knife is on bearings, which is why it's so smooth. And yeah, that's pretty much concludes the comparisons with this last one. This was the 9054 I mentioned earlier, which was kind of a medium-sized EDC from Sanrenmu as well. Just a quick look there. This has no recurve, by the way. I mean, there might be a slight one right here, but it's negligible. This one does have a pronounced recurve. Blade length, stock. Yeah, just a great knife. So, that is my quick look at the Sanrenmu 9015 and 9015 SB, purchased from GearBest. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching.